stream. Um, no particular topics will be discussed during it. I've decided that during the weekdays from this point forward, streams will be held at 5 or 5:30. But I just wanted, to come on again. Uh, I tried earlier, just wasn't really feeling it. So I thought, what the heck? Wait a little bit, hop on and see what's going on. I have a sort of crazy idea for a video. Crazy in that I'm not entirely sure how I can discuss something that's so hypothetical. And that is this random idea I had that's basically a follow up to the stream I did talking about what if Tony Stark survived the events of Endgame. And then I had a thought. Well, he would obviously keep upgrading his technology. And you might be thinking, okay, well, where do you go after nanotechnology? Well, I would think the next step is pretty much just more of it. We know how in Infinity War the suit seemed to spawn weapons seemingly out of nowhere, almost appearing magical in a sense. And then in number two, not much has changed. It's a slightly upgraded version, which honestly makes me wonder, why is it called the Mark 80 something? You would assume that 30 suits later, the 80th or 85th would be vastly superior to the 50 in every way, and it just wasn't. So, what would a hypothetical Mark 100 look like? Well, it has been suggested. Hello, Ben Lee or Lay? It has been suggested that every suit tackles a major issue that a previous suit had. Which, while not stated explicitly, does seem to be the case, right? The Mark 6 was obviously intended to be a faster way to suit up, and then he goes from that to designing a suit by which every piece can independently fly to him, um, wherever he is. From that, as well as making it so that the suit can kind of self activate and act independently. Um, and then you go to then you go to Civil War, where you can already kind of see him messing around with nanotechnology. Remember that scene where he has this like strange watch or wristlet, and he pushes a button or something, and it forms an Iron Man glove around his hand. I'm pretty sure that was intentional to show that, yes, he is working with that. It's just he's starting off small, and then over time, he's going to gradually build to something huge, which ends up being the Mark 50. Um, what do you mean, what can you send me so I end my stream? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Um, Thank you to whoever just gave me a like. Actually, I believe it was in the very beginning of the stream. So thank you. What was I saying? Yeah. So 2 likes. Thank you so much. So yeah, you could already tell that he was working towards something big. And while not necessarily nanotechnology, when you see him form a suit just from pushing a button on his chopper, and it just seems to come out of nowhere, like the whole thing just surrounds him, you could argue that that's the early stages of nanotechnology. Just being built to get it on him pretty much immediately in no time at all. And then from there, since the suit can now um um if you're referring to the Iron Spider suit, I'm pretty sure it is. Not the other suits he wears, but definitely that one. Um, I would actually like to see that suit come back and maybe be upgraded by Peter, because as we all are aware, Peter's suit, Peter is a scientist in his own right, and you know, I would love to see him building things. I would love to see him upgrading his toolkit. The homecoming suit? No, I don't believe that's nanotech, because we never see it, like, we don't see a storage unit through which the suit is summoned from. The only other suit that's nanotechnology based is Black Panther's second suit in the Black Panther film. Um, I don't know a thing about Wakanda Forever, the second film, but it wouldn't surprise me if Shuri's suit was nanotechnology based. Um, I thought he was confirmed, or at least Matt Murdock is, but I could be mistaken. I know that Punisher's gonna be in it, and if you want to, we could chat about that. Even though that's not really what I was gonna talk about. This is just a chill session. Um, we could talk about like Brand New Day and what we think could happen. Um, like if you have any theories, any hopes, anything that you don't want to see happen. My prediction is that this is more or less going to be the start of a new trilogy with Spider-Man ushering in like a new era. Um, Now I'm surprised that the Hulk is going to be in this movie, but not Miles Morales. I would think that even though he's mostly, um, shall we say, been under the tutelage of mentors, he's experienced enough and been a hero long enough to where he knows the deal. Like he could mentor a younger hero. Oh, I agree. Miles is definitely going to have his own film, but I would have expected him to show up in Brand New Day, even if it was just in a minor role. And who knows, maybe he will. But I would have rather Miles be in this movie than the Hulk. And I know it's just a rumor, but people really think Jean Grey is going to be in this film. Which to me, it's like, wow. So you're telling me that the foes, or at least one of the foes in this movie, is going to be so powerful that it requires both Hulk and Jean Grey to be present in order to handle it? Which seems a bit much for a Spider-Man movie, even though pretty much all of the MCU solo films since, you could argue, Civil War, but I don't really count that as a team up because Falcon and Widow, they're all kind of in Cap's orbit, right? Like they're all kind of associated with him, and I kind of see them as Captain America characters, if that makes any sense. In Brand New Day, I doubt it, but look, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't want to see a better adaptation of the Black Suit storyline. Um, because while I enjoy Spider-Man 3 and believe that there are a lot of good parts to it, they tried to do way too much in that movie, and there were some very silly moments that bring it down. Um, and assuming they want to keep Tom Holland around as Spider-Man, you're gonna need to give him an upgrade. You're gonna need to make him strong enough to contend with more powerful villains, right? I mean, he's gonna be in Doomsday, isn't he? Which comes out after Brand New Day, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, so I would hope that something happens in that movie to make him strong enough to play a major role in taking on Doctor Doom. Will he have his own Doc Ock? Literally, I'm not sure. Uh, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But since Alfred Molina's Doc Ock was featured in No Way Home, I feel like they might consider it too soon to bring in a new Doc Ock. That said, however, I forget her name, but why not go with the female Doc Ock for the Tom Holland movies? The one that I first learned about in the first Spider-Man film. And if I'm not mistaken, she's the daughter uh of Otto Octavius. I would like to see that because number one, I really like a female villain, especially when they're written well and, you know, as we saw with Hela, you can definitely do a female villain and do her well. That's what I'd like to see. Um, she'd be a completely different character, but also somewhat familiar at the same time. Um, That's a possibility. They're obviously not done with Venom. And you kind of can't do Spider-Man without Venom. Um, I mean, you could try and introduce him in another movie that isn't a Spider-Man film, but I doubt they'll do that. Now, will it be Tom Hardy's Venom? Not sure. Uh, I mean, I doubt they'll recast him, but I could see them deciding to bring in a new actor as Eddie Brock, as like a younger Eddie Brock, um, who's closer in age to Peter. Um, Show up. I don't think we're gonna see Carnage either, which kind of upsets me because I wanted to see Carnage, and I personally wasn't a fan of the way they handled Carnage in that second Venom movie. But as for Pepper being the new Iron Man, it's not impossible. Uh, I mean, she has the suit from Endgame. I doubt she would have gotten rid of that. Yeah, she could. I could see that happening. Although that begs the question, what about Ironheart? Because even if she's not in the movies, she's still a thing in the MCU. She did appear in Black Panther 2, but like, are they gonna do more with her after her miniseries? Is she at some point gonna be in an Avengers film, or maybe even get her own trilogy of films? Right? Because Sam Wilson got his own Captain America movie. Uh, and I'm sure that they're gonna do at least one or two more for him. I've never seen Invincible, but I've meant to for a while now. I'm sure I'll get around to it at some point. Um, I'm really curious as to what they're gonna do with the X-Men. Um, what storylines are they gonna do? I hope they're not gonna do Phoenix again, or if they do, it won't be for a while. Uh, Jesse Padero, hi, how you doing? Um, that's a very good question. Because you could make the argument that please stop spamming. Hi. You could make the argument that the spell might have only affected those who were on the planet Earth, and since Thor clearly wasn't, maybe there's a range. So I could see that being possible. But that's a very good point. Spider-Man's going to show up, and everyone's going to be like, "Who are you? Like we never met you before." Uh, that's tricky because, as far as I can tell, the young Cap that's gonna be an Endgame has to be from another timeline. Like, because in the present day, I mean, at this point, he's probably no longer living because he was an old man at the end of Endgame. I feel like that's got to be Cap in the past. So, depending on what point in time he comes from, he might not have ever met Spider-Man yet. Uh, Refresh my memory on something. Did that spell affect Spider-Man's memory too, or just everyone else? Okay, so he remembers everything. Okay. So then I imagine this is just their way of making it so that he still has all the experience, but because nobody remembers him, he has to do it all on his own, more or less. Um, working towards an older, more experienced Spider-Man. But still young enough. Like I'm pretty sure Tom Holland is not. I don't think he's 30 yet. And even if he was, uh, his Spider-Man at most, I want to say, is probably what, 19, maybe 20. Um, I have a hard time believing that will be the case, but I'm also biased. Um, because for me, the best solo hero films are the ones that truly revolve around the main character and have a smaller cast. This one has a big cast. Uh, like I was cool with Punisher being in it because he and Spider-Man have a long history together. The Hulk to me being there is a bit random. And if that red-haired actress ends up being Jean Grey, that to me is a bit ridiculous because you've now put two incredibly powerful Marvel characters into this Spider-Man film who should not be needed if Spider-Man's just dealing with Tombstone and Scorpion. Um, I mean, I know there's a third villain, but it's like Spider-Man game cameo. You mean taking Spider-Man from the from the PlayStation Insomniac games and putting him into Spider-Verse? Honestly, that's a great idea. I would love to see that. Take both the video game Peter and Miles and put them into if not in Beyond the Spider-Verse, maybe in a possible sequel. I don't know what you would call it. Maybe you'd call it something like Every Spider-Verse or I doubt you'd call it Infinite Spider-Verse, but hey, if it keeps making money, they'll keep making movies. Which movie? You mean Spider Verse? It's a possibility. I thought you meant Holland because honestly, given that you already did, uh, you know, take him out of the picture in Infinity War and then brought him back, it just wouldn't make any sense to then off him in Brand New Day. Um, if you were gonna do that, I'd think you'd wait a while before doing that and making it final. Like you'd wait until Miles was a thing and had enough experience to where he didn't need Peter's help anymore. But Tom Holland Spider-Man seems to be very popular. So I don't know. I really don't know. As for Gwen, my friend Pop Culture with Fresh 2000 here is much more knowledgeable about the Spider Verse films than I am because I've only seen the first. um, question. Um, oh, I thought they confirmed that this was gonna be the Hulk and not Banner. Unless you mean it's gonna be Professor Hulk again, which honestly I don't see why you wouldn't keep him that way. I mean, the whole point of his becoming that way was to more or less end that arc for his character. Speaking of Hulk, I also feel like Red Hulk is not done. I feel like they're gonna let him out at some point in the future. Well, hard to say. I mean, I feel like even though she's forgotten about him, like whatever fire there was originally should still be present. Like she liked them before. I don't see why she wouldn't like them again. Um, because her personality is the same. She just forgot having ever met him. Who's Paul? I don't remember who Paul is. Uh, Also, aren't Tom Holland and Zendaya? I hope I pronounced her name correctly. Aren't they dating in real life? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't read. I haven't. God, I can't remember the last time I read Marvel comics. Um, Thank you so much for the 3 likes, by the way. I really appreciate it. I'm still trying to figure out when my best times to stream are, but I'm getting the feeling that maybe 11ish would be better for Mondays. Thank you so much. We just reached 4 likes. That is amazing. Um, So yeah, but what I was wondering is, okay, Brand New Day when it comes out, it's obviously not going to be the last Spider-Man movie. Uh, like especially not the last Tom Holland led one. So we're doing Scorpion and Tombstone, and usually in these films, um, the villain in the sequel ends up being more dangerous in some way. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. At least three more movies, and then probably a Miles Morales trilogy. I mean, that's what I would do if I was in charge, which I'm obviously not. I know it's rumored that Ned might somehow become Hobgoblin. There's a version of Hobgoblin that knows magic, and I'm like, yeah, I guess, but really, Ned as a villain? Like, I don't know. I feel like something really uh huge would have to happen. Yeah, that's what I'm referring to, but I don't know if this Ned is being written the same way as Ned has been in the comics. Am I gonna play the Wolverine game? At the moment, I'm not considering it, mainly because games are not cheap. If I'm gonna buy a game, I have to go with one that I'm very interested in. Um, it's possible I may play it at a later date. Um, if anything changes for me financially and I can buy games more often, then I'd consider just straight out buying it. Um, but at the moment, like let's just say not right away. I'm definitely curious to see where it's gonna go. Um, I do not collect figures. But I have been interested in figures in the past. Pretty much just Iron Man ones. There's some very high quality Iron Man collectible figures out there that really have caught my eye. Um, Mostly just figures based on his suits from the movies, but they're like a couple $100 easy. So that's not really in the budget. Yeah, I'll tell you this though, if I had that disposable income, you'd see me doing reviews of those too on this channel. You know, I think I did figure out a way through which Ned could slowly become an antagonist towards Peter. Will he get a nanotech suit in Brand New Day? Well, the Iron Spider suit's still around, right? Wouldn't he go with that? Also, you just reminded me of something. I don't recall the exact title of it, but there was a sequel series to the 90s Spider-Man cartoon where Peter had a nanotech suit. It wasn't a metal-based suit though. And the suit included like a Sonics mode for fighting against symbiotes. Um and others as well. It was really cool. It kind of reminded me of like Batman Beyond, but yeah, in this series, Peter hitches a ride on a rocket and heads into space and ends up going to like different planets or a different planet. Um, so honestly, I'd rather he got a nanotech suit like that. Um, oh, did it? Okay. Um, I forgot about that. And honestly, nanotech just makes sense, right? You can get the suit on right away because it is nanotechnology. It affords you certain um, advantages, like it can protect you better. Um, it might have certain systems that make being a hero easier. It can potentially uh like make you stronger. Not that Spider-Man needs that per se, because he is superhuman, right? But if he needed that extra buff, that would definitely not be a bad thing. I feel like we could see a sort of cross between his main suits and the Iron Spider, wherein it has the mechanical legs that are retractable. Um, and it has the I would imagine what's essentially an infinite supply of webbing. Name a character that can beat the one above all. Huh. Well, I mean, as the name suggests, he is the one above everything. Uh, I mean, if it can be a character from another um franchise or company, um, I can't remember his name. Maybe what's the guy's name from DC? Not what is his name? Um, I can't remember his name. Um, he's basically like the equivalent of the one above all in DC Comics. Um, the presence, yeah. I could I could also see an argument for the Spectre because the Spectre's whole deal is he's as powerful as he needs to be to get the job done, and he is quite literally like the wrath of God. So that essentially means he's like directly linked to the presence, right? And if the presence needed the one above all to be defeated, he could give him enough power to contend with him at least. Um, there's also that one version of Spawn. that was so powerful he could take on the likes of both God and the devil. Um, Maybe him. Um, there's the true God in Spawn. I forget what her name is, but she's I think it's like Mother. Um, Usually takes the form of an old lady. Uh, there aren't any. There isn't really anyone else I can think of. Yeah, those are going to be my answers. Oh no, just now? Oh, I hope you'll get that looked at because that 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 that's not fun. That's never happened to me, but like I've had sprains in the past, which were incredibly painful. So I kind of have an idea. A couple days ago, you getting that checked out? What's El Rotato? I feel like I should know what you mean by that, but I don't. Um, Ouch! I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay, I got a question for you since you've been mainly asking me ones, but I'd like to ask you some. Um, who's your favorite Marvel character? It doesn't have to just be one. It could be like top five, you know, and not just heroes. Like if there's a villain or two that are like in your top five or 10, feel free to name them too. Okay. So outside of that, you're not really a fan of Peter Parker, unless you just meant the MCU. Because while I didn't love it, I did like Homecoming. Uh, quite a bit. Um, but then I just didn't have any interest in the sequels for some reason. Um, because despite Vulture more or less starting off as an Iron Man foe because of his anger towards Stark, there was still a personal connection between him and Peter, right? Like he still felt like Peter's foe and not just a hand me down, which is how I felt was the case with Mysterio. Is he just felt like a hand me down villain who only uh wanted to deal with Peter because Tony wasn't around anymore, and it's like, who am I gonna get revenge on? His protege. Um, I like Rocket 2. He's definitely up there for me. I pretty much like all the Guardians of the Galaxy. Fairly equally. I don't know if I could choose a favorite out of them. Like, I identify the most with Star-Lord because I'm really into music. Maybe not to the same degree, but I listen to a variety of different types of music, especially if it's music that's before my time. Um, as you can see with my profile picture, I am, of course, an Iron Man fan. Thank you for that. One day, I'll commission someone to make me an original picture to use. All I know is that it's gonna take some inspiration from Iron Man, but it's gonna be like my original idea. Well, as original as I can get. Uh, Honestly, my best advice: whatever you're passionate about, whatever you like talking about, whatever you like doing, there's an audience for everything. Nice anime figures. Um, Speaking of, I don't know if you've seen it, but there was an Iron Man anime series. Uh, I forget what year it was. But it didn't really connect to the comics in any way. It was basically just taking Iron Man and putting him in an anime series with a completely like brand new cast of villains. Uh I liked it. Oh, okay. I liked it. I actually bought it on YouTube or on Google Play Store. Yes, he was. I think he had his own series too, or it was a movie. That's something I'd really like to see them get back to. Because I don't want to sound like a hater, but it's ironic to me how Disney, who are one of the kings of animation and cartoons, ever since they bought Marvel, it's like none of those animated series are anywhere near as good as what we would expect um from Disney. Like, where's the production uh for those shows? Like, why do they drop the ball on it so heavily? Um, you may get your wish. Who knows? Maybe that'll be the third one. Wait, there's already been three. Maybe that'll be the fourth. I know there were people who really wanted to see a World Breaker Hulk movie, which I don't think is ever going to happen unless Universal somehow gives up the film rights to the Hulk. Could I stream a horror game on this channel? Probably not. But on another one? Well, I mean, I could make a Twitch. I do have a Twitch. I haven't used it in a while, but I could do it on there. I would just have to uh log. Sorry for the yawn. Log back into it and play something. I don't know of Granny. Um, when it comes to horror, the only titles I play for the most part are pretty much just Resident Evil. Um, but that's just because horror games, for whatever reason, don't really interest me. Because I watch horror movies. Um, not all the time, but I've seen a decent amount of them. I agree. Last of Us 1 is one of my favorites ever. And you're right, I guess that would count as a horror game, wouldn't it? Um, uh, there are some old games that I've got a little bit of experience with. PC titles. I don't remember the exact name, but I know way back I owned a Jekyll and Hyde game. Um, had to have been back in like the earlier 2000s when it was released. Aside from that, I played a game that my aunt owned called Sanitarium. Um, and that was pretty much it as far as that goes. You wish they made the Walking Dead games better than they were. Are you talking about the Telltale games? Or are there other titles that I'm not thinking of? Man, I'll tell you the kind of horror game I would want to see. I want to see a horror game where mysterious things are happening. Which I know is incredibly vague, but like mysterious things are happening, like reality doesn't seem real anymore. Um, and it's all the result of like an incredibly powerful psychic who's just putting people into a dream world and making them experience nightmares. Uh, that's the kind of game I would want to see. And I know that's not groundbreaking, but I think it is a bit more unique. I mean, I don't know if swearing is going to negatively impact the stream. I try not to because I know that while this is uh uh um made to be not for kids, can still see or can still watch or come on this or be in the stream. Um, but it sounds like you've got a lot of frustration regarding The Walking Dead, the games. It's not horror, but I actually had an idea for a. I have had an idea for a game. Um, a like a mystery detective style game, which kind of combines the point and click genre with um an LA noir type. The idea would be that while you're investigating and you go like to a part of you go up to something in a building to investigate, it goes into first person mode and you get like a cursor to like pick things up and analyze them. And then you go out of that to, walk around again. Um and there would be action moments where you have to fight off thugs, but the idea I had for how to fight them would be that you'd kind of want to plan it out. Like, you won't know what to expect when you're first um, going into a location. You won't know that you're going to be attacked by thugs or uh, people who you don't, know why they're there. Um, and the way fighting would work is that you'd pretty much use anything in the building as a weapon. I'm talking like picking up a lamp and tossing it at an enemy. Some a frying pan, right? Um, Maybe even a lamp, that sort of thing. Um, just to make a realistic like scenario, because Like if you're in a situation where somebody is attacking you, you will have to use whatever is at your disposal to protect yourself. Even if it's not usually used as a weapon. Um, nice. Also, I do believe I have a delivery outside. I want to get up and grab that right now. You might hear a garage door opening. Apologies. Actually, I'm gonna mute. I will do so. Huh, it's not here. My hope is that at some point in the future, if I get enough subs, maybe I can talk about more than just Iron Man and Marvel related stuff. Like if I get to say 1,000 and then some, I'd like to also incorporate anime related content. Because my vision for this channel is looking at every franchise I've ever liked or still like and placing characters not from those franchises into them. So like this will sound crazy, but for example, maybe doing like a Kingdom Hearts discussion where I take the Disney characters out and I swap them with, I don't know, maybe like Warner Brothers characters, like swapping Mickey Mouse for Bugs Bunny, just to give an example, or like well, it's not crazy, but you know, I want to reach a certain number of subs before I consider doing that. You got to think about the algorithm, right? At this point, the algorithm is probably trained to only send people my way who are like Iron Man fans and looking for Avengers related content. Uh, so we'll see what happens. For the record, I do expect there to be. Oh, that's not good. For the record, I do expect Marvel characters to be in a Kingdom Hearts game at some point, and I am aware of the fact that Big Hero 6 counts as Marvel, but I'm talking about like traditional Marvel. Uh, like Big Hero 6 is not like mainline Marvel, right? And the version of him that we even get in that movie is completely different. Um, I don't know how far they would take that, but I know there's demand for it. I think Marvel makes a lot more sense in Kingdom Hearts than Star Wars, although they'll probably try to incorporate that as well. Um, Obviously, there would be a question as to which Marvel character would use a Keyblade, because if they're gonna bring Marvel in, they're gonna have like a representative of it in the same way that Mickey represents Disney, right? So, who do you go with? Um, if I'm being honest, I would actually like to see them bring the Disney make the game focused more on the Disney aspect, um, and lump it in with Marvel, because you know, while I don't dislike two, I actually prefer to one in many ways. I do understand the argument that say or suggest that the story in two is not as good as the first one because it was all Disney, but people seem to forget that Sora is not an original Disney character. He's, you know, right, a completely brand new character. He's like a new Final Fantasy character, really, without being Final Fantasy. Um, and the villain of Kingdom Hearts 1 is not Maleficent. It's Xehanort's Heartless. So those complaints don't really make any sense to me. Uh, I'd imagine those people just must have hated uh, the final fights in Kingdom Hearts because yeah. Um, if you really want it to go back to that, you're probably gonna need a reboot, wherein you just start anew with brand new heroes, uh, brand new story, brand new Disney allies, and you forget about the whole organization related stuff and the Master of Masters, and you just have Disney villains you didn't use before as the main threat. Like honestly, I mean, just thinking in terms of villains they haven't used yet. Uh, there's the Phantom Blot. There's um Villains from Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. There's um, villains from Aladdin the animated series, like Mosenrath. And Mirage. Sorry for yawning. There's Mechanicles. Then when you look at DuckTales, there's I keep forgetting the name of that witch, but there's her. There's basically the evil version of Scrooge. Again, can't remember his name. I guess you could use that villain from Tailspin. What was it? Don Carnage, something. The pirate, basically. And then I would also lump in a villain from Gargoyles, and that would be like the new main Disney foes. I don't know who would lead them, but I mean, if I had my pick, I'd probably have Xanatos be the leader, or whatever the name. I think it was Oberon, or have him be the leader. So yeah, that's what I would do. You've done the movies, the movie villains. If at some point you want to keep going with Kingdom Hearts, but you don't want to stick to the Master of Masters foreteller stuff, reboot it, end Sora and Company's story, and then make a brand new Kingdom Hearts game that has nothing to do with that, and make your villains Disney foes from the TV series. And also villains that haven't been done before. That's what I would do. Like Dr. Facilier. Um, and then also, and I doubt Disney would do this, but they need to get off their high horse with, we don't want to change our villains too much. It's Kingdom Hearts. They're not the same characters, really. Like, I understand not wanting to give every Disney villain a Keyblade, but honestly, the Keyblade is such a powerful object that it's like if you don't have one, you're not going to be worth squat. And that's what it's leading towards. So, yeah, I think you kind of need to put up or shut up and just give them one. Like, I could see Xanatos with a Keyblade. I could see, um, man, wait, was Shere Khan the the villain of Tailspin? Was he like the big bad? Because I guess you could give him one. But that's what I would do. Heck, maybe in this hypothetical reboot, you could make the main character more of a cartoon character and have them be like an animal to further separate it from the original game series. And I don't know who your team would consist of. I mean, yes, but not consistently. I'm off and on when it comes to anime. This is a tough one for me because there are two series that could fit that could be number one. And those series are Yu Yu Hakusho and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I would probably have to go with Yu Yu Hakusho for my favorite over Full Metal, mostly because I've been a fan of it for longer. It came out when I was younger. Brotherhood is a newer series, right? It came out in the 2000s. Um, Actually, it came out when I was no longer in high school. So yeah. But I will say that I think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is probably the best series I've seen in terms of anime. No, I have not watched Jujutsu Kaisen. I think it's a neat concept, but I don't know the character designs, the overall um, presentation of it just doesn't really do anything for me. Um, like there's certain character designs in that just make me go, "What in the world is this?" Uh, I could give it a shot because like if I had to be asked to watch a newer series, even if I wasn't super interested, that would probably be it. Um so maybe I'll give like at least a couple episodes a go and see what happens. And then get back to you. No, I don't have Crunchyroll. But I think I saw it on Disney Plus. Or was it through Hulu? Because I think I have the bundle, the Disney Plus Hulu bundle. And if I'm not mistaken, the character that you've chosen is Gojo? Or the main character? Oh, they only have the second and third season? Is that still ongoing or has it ended? Like, I don't just mean the anime, I mean like the entire thing. I like I don't remember the name of the abilities they have. Like I guess it's cursed powers. Or cursed magic or whatever it is. Um okay. But the manga ended, I'm assuming. Uh I do like the domain expansion as a concept because it kind of gives me Bleach vibes. It kind of reminds me of like Bankai, but without being Bankai. Um, if that makes any sense. That's the one. Um, like, and I feel like the author said that this wasn't his main inspiration. I feel like he said that Naruto was his inspiration for Jujutsu Kaisen, but I'm gonna be honest. I see a lot more. Uh, I see a lot more Bleach than I do Naruto in that series. Okay. I also feel like there's some Hunter x Hunter inspiration. I think what I'll probably do is read the seasons that are available, and then watch the seasons that are available, like the anime seasons that are available, and then read what hasn't been animated yet. Because I actually have a way to watch the anime, and not so much a way to read the manga. So long as the adaptation is more or less like one to one. Because there are certain anime out there that really diverge from the manga. So if the anime is more or less like a one to one adaptation of the manga, then yeah, I'll definitely watch it. Um, well, I mean, I can't watch it while I'm streaming, but I might today. My friend and I are watching Thousand Year Blood War, which is the second Bleach anime. Uh, I read the entire, like not the entire manga, but like I started reading Bleach. I want to say during like the tail end of the Waco Mundo arc, and then continued reading until the end. Oh, I know the series gets pretty intense. Um, but I mean, like I've seen horror films. I've enjoyed horror films. I consider myself to be a horror fan. I can handle almost anything. Uh, like actually, one of my favorite anime series, which I don't like to recommend because it's incredibly dark and uh also depressing. And no, it's not Berserk. It's a series called Speed Grapher. Um, and I find it gets pretty real in like its themes, and it basically being social commentary on like the rich, and like how they have an insatiable lust for power. Uh, it's really interesting in that regard. Um, it also has one of my favorite villains in anime, like ever. Not to mention, it's also, well, no, I'm not going to say anything more about him. Um, about the villain, but yeah, Berserk is one I cannot handle. There are certain things that are too much for me, and what happens to Casca is one of those. Certain things involving guts are also things that are too much for me to handle. Um, I can mostly handle violence, but look, all I'll say is, are you somebody who isn't easily bothered by anything? There's certain subject matter that I can't say out loud in the stream. Um, but Like, if you think you can handle it, maybe. Um, I think for me, it's the fact that it's not only bleak as all get out, but there's also this sense that the main hero will never actually prevail ultimately. And that's fine for me if it comes if it has to do with like a horror movie or series, but Berserk, while it does have horror elements, it's not strictly horror. It's a dark fantasy action adventure series. And again, there's just certain things that happen in that series that I like. I want to be entertained. Like, even some of the darkest stuff that I've seen has entertained me on some front. Um, but then again, I'm also the person who cites one of his favorite horror movies as being one that he'll never watch again because it's just that intense. Uh, and I'm not going to speak its name because I don't want to run the risk of people looking it up and watching it, and then getting in trouble for it. I would recommend Speedgrapher more so than Berserk. My other thing with Berserk is it's a series that's likely never going to end, and I personally can't get behind that. I don't read it or watch it, but I would at least like to know how it's going to end. And, like, what's gonna be like the final fight, if you will. Uh, but again, it depends on what you can and can't handle. So if you've already seen Berserk, why are you asking if you should watch it? Or do you mean Speedgrapher? Yes, I definitely recommend that. If you've seen Berserk, you can easily handle Speedgrapher. Um, what the heck? I thought they dropped off the food. No, it's Grapher. No food delivery yet. Hold on, I gotta check something. Sorry about that. Looks like the comments disappeared. Oops. So too did my mute button. What in the world is going on here? I think I just messed up the stream. Sorry about that, folks. As I'm not seeing any comments, if there are any, and I don't have my my little menu bar on the side of the screen. Hmm. That's annoying. So, I guess with that being the case, well, I didn't want to end it off like this. I don't really have a choice. Um, if you're commenting, I do apologize for that. That doesn't really happen to me. Uh, but, yeah. So, again, apologies for the abrupt end. I hope to see, I apologize, I forgot your name. Whoever I was chatting with just now, I hope to see you in another stream. It was great talking with you. If you have posted more comments in the chat, try to write them down for the next time, so that I can get back to you on that. And with that, as always, this is Black Angel Inserts. I will be doing a stream, I believe, around 5. So if you're able to, join in on that one. And if you like the stream, and wish to consider and wish to see more content from me, please consider subscribing. Likes also help a lot, as do comments. And with that, I will leave you with my usual outro, although a bit different this time because I don't have parts of my screen are missing. The truth is, I am Iron Man.